Welcome along to Cadwell Park. Before we go racing, let's catch up with 924 frontrunners Alistair Kirkham and first Rebecca Jackson.
So the first race weekend we're at Alton Park, and I had a slight problem in qualifying. My wheel came off, so I had to qualify behind a safety car, at lunchtime, and then going out for race one, going towards the assembly area, my master cylinder decided to give up the ghost, so I didn't do race one either. Going out for race two, I started at the back of the grid. Everyone else had done sort of 40 minutes race speed driving that day, and I was cold. Bullied my way up to third place and got my first podium, so I was absolutely delighted with that.
Right, rewind back to Alton Park then. Pretty perfect day. Qualified on pole and won both races, fastest laps, so that was absolutely perfect. But there again, it is my home circuit, so if I don't do well there. Snetterton, completely different story. Really poor conditions, lots of rain, lots of misting up windows. A real mixed bag of results, a third, a fourth and a first. I was really glad obviously that it was a triple header, because that enabled me to win at least one race. And so far here today it's looking a bit more like Alton Park. The sun's shining, it's my kind of track, and I've managed to put it on pole position fortunately, so I'm going to go and try and do a repeat of Alton Park.
Before racing gets underway today, a chance to enjoy some of the other spectacular machinery we have at this wonderful MSV circuit. Entertainment a key part of Motorsport Vision's days, and today we're treated during the lunch break to a display of splendid Harley-Davidson machines courtesy of the St Leger chapter from Doncaster. So thanks to those for providing a great display during lunchtime. Some more superb material, the grid with Richard Styrin and Gerry Taylor on the front row for the Boxsters, the production Boxsters. Just one with us this weekend, that's Steve Potts. He's on pole for that. And the 924s, as you heard, Alistair Kirkham on pole with Sean Siddle, P2 for the 924s. Rebecca Jackson completing the grid after just the one lap in qualifying. So Richard Styrin on pole position, Gerry Taylor is going to be alongside him. Pole position here at Cadwell Park on the outside of the circuit. It's a clockwise circuit like most of the others in the UK, the exception of course being Rockingham. But the first corner is a left-hander, so the pole position car will sit, as we're looking at the car's front on the right-hand side of screen, and it's the red and white car of Richard Styrin that takes that position. Alongside him, Gerry Taylor in car number 16. Gerry with 2 wins under his belt so far this year. Gerry with 2 wins at Alton Park. Then we went to Snetterton, and of course at Snetterton it was Richard Sykes that took a hat-trick. Are we going to see a third different winner today? Certainly if the qualifying form is anything to go by, Richard Styrin will be very keen to put that right. And they're away. It looks like a slightly slow start off the back, I think, for Rebecca Jackson, but a great start by Richard Styrin. Richard Sykes is into second position as they go into Coppice for the first time. This is always a nerve-jangling moment, particularly on this tight, narrow track where, when you get a good field of cars as we've got here, a crowded start, particularly with the 2 different specifications of car, can be different. Actually 3 with the productions, of course. Guillaume Grochet's start down the inside of car number 18, Nick Hull. So looking to try and, well, actually it was the outside line, wasn't it, as they go up towards Coppice. But the race leader is Richard Styrin. So Richard the second is Richard Sykes. Oh, and a spin for Arjo Ghosh. First lap, probably cold tyres. Arjo takes a spin. Nerve-wracking moment as we wait for everybody to go past. That could have been a lot worse. It's bad enough for Arjo because he's got a lot of work to do. But thankfully, nobody running into him. So, out front, Richard Styrin. Gerry Taylor in third position, chasing the Union flag liveried car of Richard Sykes. Then it's David Bearman. Adam Croft behind him. Sadly, a non-starter is John Bearman. So Arjo manages to rejoin some way down the order. A lot of work to do, but of course 20 minutes to do so. The race is timed rather than a set number of laps, so the drivers get good value for money. If there's a safety car, that of course will eat into the time. That probably encourages good driving standards, which we've seen all year. So out of Barn, which is the last corner on the circuit, and heading down the straight. It's one of the longest circuits that we do, 2.173 miles. So from, of course, the last round held at Snetterton, which was just under 3 miles, so we're having a little bit of a session at the moment with long tracks, and one of the shorter tracks next time out at Brands Hatch. As we go back, there is Gerry Taylor still chasing that second position, overtaking really a premium here. There are long, fast flowing sections where if you can get the line, there are places where you can pass, and that's exactly what Taylor's trying to do now. Outside of the kink around Park straight, coming down into Park corner, he's got the line, and he's got him into Park corner. He's done it. Gerry Taylor into second position ahead of Richard Sykes. That was a great manoeuvre. As I said, a pass is very difficult here. Squeal of tyres, and off goes car number 33, Mike Sellar, coming out in sympathy with Arjo Ghosh. Problem there for Ian Loggie. He's had a little bit of a moment as well, so Ian's going to have to rejoin, as does Mike Sellar in car number 33. And we were on board with Guillaume Gruchet. He's going to be making up a few positions. Guillaume qualifying down in 14th place. He's got the production Boxster of Steve Potts to deal with, plus the he qualified behind the 924 in terms of times of Alistair Kirkham. Alistair Kirkham with with 2 class wins so far this year. Class wins and fastest lap at Alton Park, as you heard, so very much on form and leading the championship from Sean Siddle. Rebecca Jackson joint third in the championship with Tony Mekvinsky coming into this one, but now you can see David Bearman putting a bit of pressure on. Back down the order, there's Guillaume Gruchet, the first of those cars, the man who's given us the onboard footage from this weekend. And Guillaume at the moment running, I think, in 6th position. So through goes the battle for third place at the moment. Richard Sykes hanging on to it. So Sykes in third place. Richard Styrin away down the road. Gerry Taylor in second position. So it looks like we could very much have our third different winner of the season in the Boxsters. This is the third season of Boxster racing, and on paper looks like the most competitive that we've ever had as the drivers get into it. Now look at Adam Croft putting David Bearman under pressure here, the number 5 car. Adam Croft clearly on a mission. This is where we saw Sykes passed earlier on by Gerry Taylor. Croft, I don't think, has quite worked out a passing position yet. As we go back and we'll have a look at some 924 action. Car number 27, that's Tony Mekvinsky, joint third in the championship, as we said, enjoying his racing, but we're going to go back to third position. 3 of them all dicing it out at the moment. Gerry Taylor getting away from them. Richard Styrin with the best lap, 1 minute 41.451. A little bit away from the best qualifying time of 1 minute 40.069. So Ian Loggie's recovered, car number 24, which is good news, and he's made up a bit of ground actually, because Loggie has got past Nick Hull, so that's pretty good stuff for him. There's Adam Croft still in 5th position and trying to get 4th place off of David Bearman. Those guys very close, and you can see Cadwell Park very much all about pressure. That's what Adam Croft needs to do, that's what David Bearman needs to do, to try and force a mistake. Back down the order, Guillaume Gruchet 24, Ian Loggie 7th and 8th position. 9th position at the moment is Nick Hull, and you saw there just to the right of shot how close the circuit, when it comes back on itself just before the climb up the mountain, is to the home straight. So time to pick up some 924s coming out of Barn Corner. Sean Siddle at the moment having a good dice. Sean Siddle dicing with Alistair Kirkham for class lead. Richard Sykes at the moment opening up a wee bit of a gap. So Sykes opening a gap over David Bearman, but still coming under pressure from Adam Croft behind him. Into Park Corner again. That opens up into Chris Curve, and then they go down into the gooseneck. 2 or 3 lengths between those 2 cars, so the pressure perhaps not on at the moment. As we look at Simon Hawksley in car number 8. Simon running 3rd in class at the moment. Simon with 2 19th places overall at Snetterton and 1 retirement, so looking for his first podium. If he can pull that off this weekend, that'll be good. Now David Bearman here has broken away from the 5th place car of Adam Croft, and he's starting to close in on Richard Sykes ahead of him. Now looking at the lap times, David Bearman slightly the quicker of the 2 drivers. That's certainly evident from the last lap. He's got away from Adam Croft at the moment. Adam Croft with a 1:43.6, his best lap. So these guys playing cat and mouse with each other, but allowing Richard Styrin at the moment to get away out front, the 41-year-old from Leeds, former successful karter. It's a great place for karters to come and race very cost-effective sports car racing, probably the most cost-effective sports car racing in the country. As we look at Nick Hull dropping away just a little bit from Ian Loggie, championship sponsor, runs the LOGSON Group, who very generously support the championship. Now we've got the limited adhesion flag going out. I'm not sure if somebody's dropping oil, but may well be the case as the battle between Loggie in car number 24 and Gerry 74 carries on. 94's coming out of Barn Corner, last corner on the circuit, as we say, Barn, then the run down the straight, but we're back with the leaders around about quarter of a lap or so ahead of those runners that we were looking at. Nick Hull still in 9th position in the green and black car, the driver's representative, incidentally, Nick Hull. And back to 99, Richard Styrin leading this one in very fine fettle. Will he hang on? Join us after the break to find out.
Welcome to another episode of Racing No Filter. Joining me in sunny California, Bill Wood, and down in sunny Florida, Peter King.
We're going to take a look at some of the products HPD has created for the 2012 Honda Civic, and specifically we're going to show you how to install an adjustable sway bar.
Until then, folks out there, you take care.
Welcome back to Cadwell Park, race 6 in the 2012 LOGSON Group Porsche Championship, and leading the race is Richard Styrin. We're looking at the battle for 3rd position at the moment, held by triple race winner from last time, Richard Sykes. Just goes to show how competitive this championship is. There is Anthony Mekvinsky at the moment dicing with Rebecca Jackson. Rebecca working her way through from the very back of the grid and dicing at the moment over 17th position. This is a midfield scrap. Nick Hull we're looking at there, running well, but we're going back to the race leader, Richard Styrin, who is well clear ahead of, at the moment, 2nd position, Gerry Taylor. Then these 3 cars dicing over 3rd place. Richard Sykes holding on at the moment. Sykes, the championship leader coming into this round, and an ever-present on the podium. Gerry Taylor 2nd in the championship, just 1 time off the podium. That was race 1 at Snetterton, where he finished in 4th position. And of course our race leader in this one, Richard Sykes, with 2 retirements, as we mentioned, at Alton Park. Since then has been an ever-present, so all the races he's finished he's been on the podium. Nick Hull in car number 18 giving chase, but at the moment Gerry is holding off Ian Loggie. Ian, who had a moment off the circuit earlier on, has recovered well from that. Down into Coppice Corner, up towards Charlie's, the sweeping right-hander. And then the circuit opens up for the fastest part, which is Park Straight. But we're going to go back, pick up a couple of cars coming down the main straight before we flick again to have a look at... now, hang on, what's happened here to Adam Croft? He's dropped well away from this battle for 3rd position. So Adam Croft seemingly lost a little bit of time somewhere. These cars just about to climb up the mountain. Look at the climb here. It looks steep on the telly, and generally when you come here it's even steeper. You can lose your breath climbing up there on the infield part, and That's what you need to do if you're going from race control, which is in the centre of the circuit here, at this very picturesque circuit. I'm always reminded of the Crystal Palace circuit from the 60s. When you see footage of that, it's the nearest we've got to that. It's a wonderful, real scenic place to come and watch, and I guess even better to come and race a natural circuit, natural undulations. Back with the 924s though, and through on the inside, Simon Hawksley and Mark McKenzie very much hard at it. This is for third in class between those two. Anthony Mekvinsky and Rebecca Jackson still working hard, as are these two. Nick Hull's climbing back up on Ian Loggie. He's in 9th position, but still challenging for that 8th. A little bit of a wobbly moment there for Guillaume Gruchet, car number 74. And of course, one of the problems is that the cars have to start dealing with backmarker traffic at various times. We've got some of the slower 924s we would fully expect to be lapped as the race goes on. And Gerry Taylor getting up amongst those as David Bearman still, look at the absolute relentless pressure on Richard Sykes. So a couple of back markers dealt with by Gerry Taylor in 2nd position. And hello, heard a squeal of tyres there. I think somebody, well, just maybe a little bit of a lock-up, possibly for Rebecca Jackson in car 0. But the race leader still getting away with this one. Richard Styrin still leading. Gerry Taylor in 2nd. Richard Sykes in 3rd position. 924 action continues with Alistair Kirkham still leading from Sean Siddle. Simon Hawksley on for his first podium, which is going to be good. But look at this relentless battle between David Bearman in car number 87. Bearman, the 34-year-old from Great Baddow, company director. And this is great stuff here for Richard Sykes. He's not going to be overly pleased about being down in 3rd position, but it is another podium. It's reasonably good points for him. Quick flash of Richard Styrin in car number 99 still out front. And there's Mike Sellar, of course, recovered from that moment earlier on. So Mike running with Arjo Ghosh, who also had a moment. So the two spinners, they could probably form their own group called the Spinners. You have to be of a certain age to understand that one, and I'm not that old, honestly. As we go back to Richard Styrin, car number 99, fastest lap of the race, 1:41.451 for him. So this is looking like we're going to have our 3rd different winner in the LOGSON Group Porsche Championship. Arjo Ghosh still challenging for 10th position. Real matter of pride between these two guys. It's Mike Sellar who leads that little scrap at the moment, but back to Ian Loggie. These are the 3 cars ahead of the 2 that we saw dicing when we saw Arjo Ghosh in white, Mike Sellar in yellow ahead. These are the 3 cars that are dicing ahead of those, so you can see that it's competitive all the way down the order. Along Park Straight, this is where we saw that great move by Gerry Taylor, and Loggie looks up the inside. He's a little bit too far back to do anything about it, and Guillaume Gruchet in car number 74 hangs on to it, but Nick Hull manages to go through. So Loggie just overran into the corner a little bit wide, and through into 8th position goes Nick Hull. But we're going back to 3rd place now. David Bearman still keeping Richard Sykes. It's a job actually to know where to look, as Arjo Ghosh looks here on the inside line of Mike Sellar. They're dicing for 10th position. Back to the scrap for 3rd. Sykes still there. Bearman still putting the pressure on. Down the hill, up across the line to complete another lap here at Cadwell Park. But Richard Styrin pulling away. He's got the gap out to over 5 seconds now, which is absolutely superb. And things beginning to settle down in 3rd position, because Richard Sykes has shaken off David Bearman for the moment. Bearman in car 87, 3 podia in the first 3 races of the year, and just shy of it at the moment. But back we go to Gruchet, Loggie and Hull, and Ian Loggie's got back ahead of Nick Hull. Well, we didn't see it out on circuit. We did see Nick Hull go through and take 8th position, but he's back down in 9th at the moment. If you look in the background, don't think our cameras are going to stay long enough focused on the view right at the back, but you will have seen Arjo Ghosh and Mike Sellar scrapping over, and here they are. Mike Sellar still in 11th position. Mike, who comes from Sittingbourne in Kent, 47 years of age. Arjo Ghosh, 44. There's Alistair Kirkham, a quick look at the 924 leader in red, who is doing so well, but Rick Styrin still out front in this one, surely on his way to a win. He's done all the right things so far. Ian Loggie putting pressure on Guillaume Grochet, who is in 7th place. Guillaume, who missed the first round of the championship, best result I think beckoning here at the moment in 7th position. Now David Bearman's caught Sykes again, so Bearman's had a little bit of a renaissance as down the inside goes Arjo Ghosh. Fantastic manoeuvre by Arjo Ghosh up past Mike Sellar into 10th position. This is not the easiest track to pass on. All of the drivers here showing some superb racecraft, including these two have been at it hammer and tongs all through the 20 minutes. Richard Sykes started up on the inside of row 2, still in 3rd position, but he has had some real pressure. So give Grochet there. Nick Hull looks like he wants the position back as well. Looks like he wants to try and get back into 8th. This to some extent is going to compromise Ian Loggie's position here, because what does Ian do? Does he attack as before? When he made the move before, he carried a little bit too much momentum into the corner, and that of course lost him the position to Nick Hull, but he managed to get it back. So these guys having an absolutely super scrap, and I'm just wondering how it's all going to pan out. Coming up on the back marking 924, the speed differential should make that job relatively easy. The marshals will show the blue flag to the back marker cars for sure. And back we go with the battle for 3rd position. We've hardly seen anything of Gerry Taylor in this race. He's on a pretty lonely 2nd place at the moment, and some 4 seconds ahead of the battle for 3rd. Past Anthony Mekvinsky go our battlers, and back to Richard Styrin, who is leading this one absolutely superbly. Now lapping Mark McKenzie. Now Mark's running 4th in the 924s, and when you think that this is a long circuit, it gives you an idea how the Boxsters really do crack on. But there is the checkered flag, and it's win number 1 of the season for Richard Styrin. Styrin takes his first win. Pole, win, fastest lap for the man from Leeds. 2nd position is going to go to Gerry Taylor. This is the battle for 3rd. There's Taylor. Taylor goes through, and 3rd place just is Richard Sykes, despite the best attentions of David Bearman right the way through the 20 minutes. Now what about the scrap by Guillaume Grochet in 7th position? Grochet 7th, Loggie in 8th, Nick Hull in 9th place. And in the 924s, it's going to be Alistair Kirkham extending his championship lead with his 3rd class win of the year. Richard Styrin, thumbs up to the marshals and spectators here, takes the win with Gerry Taylor in 2nd, 6 seconds down, further 4 seconds back Richard Sykes, but he did have his mirrors full of David Bearman and Adam Croft, of course, in the early stages. Steve Boyles takes 6th position after a fairly lonely race for him in the top 6. Steve Potts, of course, the lone production runner, takes the points there, while in the 924s it was Alistair Kirkham from Sean Siddle and Simon Hawksley up onto the podium. Congratulations, Simon, in 3rd place. Let's grab a quick word with our podium finishers.
Well, starting in qualified 3rd, that's where I've been all weekend really. The 987, it's geared slightly higher than the 986, which means on longer circuits like Snetterton it's faster. Here it's much slower. So 3rd's about where I've been. Happy to start 3rd and finish 3rd. David Bearman, cracking race, kept me honest all the way through, so that's as good as I could expect really.
Race 1, Cadwell, great result, very happy. A little bit peeved about not getting the fastest lap, but that's nothing, don't worry about that. Hopefully I can repeat it in race 2 and win again. I'll do my best and see what will be.
That was a great race. I'm delighted for the team, the Taylors Foundry Motorsport team. It's very difficult to win a race if you haven't got a good car and a good setup, and that's exactly what I did have. Really pleased for my sponsors, or without them I wouldn't be racing, so Motor Novo and the PFP group. Turns out I've been very, very lucky in that race as well. On the first lap I went over a curb and I cracked the sump. So when I came in and finished into the pits, it just dropped all its oil on the floor. So I've been very lucky to finish the race and look forward to the second race.
The club, an amateur racer. Here at Go Racing TV, we salute you. and we want to give you all the tools and info to compete with the best. Find out how to do it all from your own garage by watching our Club Racer and Autocrosser shows. GoRacingTV.com, supplying all your video racing needs.
Welcome back to Cadwell Park. Round 7 of the LOGSON Group Porsche Championship about to get underway. Race 1 winner from today, Richard Sykes on pole from Gerry Taylor. Richard Sykes about to renew battle with David Bearman. The 924 pole, of course, is with Alistair Kirkham from Sean Siddle. Production box to lone runner Stephen Potts. And a full grid about to embark on the 2.173 Cadwell Park circuit here in Lincolnshire. If you've never been before, it's well worth a visit. A lovely day, as you can see, when the sun's shining. A superb place to come and watch your racing. Now, so far, the story in the championship has been wins for Gerry Taylor at Alton Park, wins for Richard Sykes at Snetterton, and I'm wondering whether Richard Styrin is going to repeat that this weekend. You heard how lucky he was in race number 1 to bring the car home. Will that luck hold out for this race? There he is, the red and white car on the front row of the grid. Alongside him is Gerry Taylor. Outside at Cadwell is always a difficult start. Lights on, lights out, and away we go. Richard Sykes trying to get up into second position. You can see Sykes up front and trying to squeeze his way through on the inside of Gerry Taylor. This is our onboard camera from David Bearman, who wants to go through as well. Bearman's being forced to the outside line as they go around Charlie's for the first time, but it's a great start by Richard Styrin. Styrin getting away well. So on board with Gerry, and going past him is Arjo Ghosh. Arjo, I think, might be mindful of any lap 1 incident, so having said that, he's throwing caution to the wind and overtaking really at the start is perhaps one of the best opportunities. Has through into second again, goes Gerry Taylor. Superb manoeuvre into second position. You heard that Richard Sykes say he was happy with third position, and he's got to do it all again now from David Bearman, who's in 4th place. What a great shot we've got on board. Look how hard David's working the car, and you can imagine the same going on with race leader Richard Styrin. Is he going to be able to take another win? Adam Croft having a go here, looking at Gerry, who's got ahead of him on the start. So Ghosh with a good start from his race 1 position of 7th place. Adam Croft going a tad backwards as we go back on board with David Bearman in 4th position. This will give you a really good idea of how physical this circuit is. So through Hall Bends and down into the hairpin effectively here, just something just under 90 degrees, but nonetheless it's the pretty much the tightest corner on the circuit. Back we go to Sean Siddle and Mark McKenzie having a good old dice of it down in the 924s. Alistair Kirkham away and in front of that. You might have heard Alistair talking before the break that he was disappointed not to get fastest lap. That went to car number 8, Simon Hawksley. So Simon Hawksley, best ever finish, 15th overall, 3rd, his first podium, which was fantastic, and he gets the fastest lap as well. So that's somebody new to the championship the other boys and girl are going to have to look at going forward. Now this man's looking forward, Richard Styrin. Gerry Taylor looks as if he's a little bit more equal to the pace in this one, in 2nd position. Richard Sykes still there in 3rd. There is the 4th place man, David Bearman. And down behind Bearman at the moment it's Steve Boyles, who I don't think saw at all actually, apart from in the distance in race number 1. So we'll give Steve a little bit of a shout. Car number 77 finished in a pretty lonely 6th place in race 1. Now Bearman's keeping up his pressure again on Richard Sykes. Now Sykes will be very pleased in terms of championship points if he can maintain a podium slot. There is 44 Arjo Ghosh ahead of Adam Croft. So Adam Croft's got a wee bit of work to do. Back down to the 924s, 8 and 11. Car number 8, Simon Hawksley. 11 is Sean Siddle. So at the moment, Simon Hawksley's got himself up into 2nd position in the 924 class. Expect to see him starting to trouble the championship leaders in terms of points after this meeting. I remind you that it was Richard Sykes leading the championship coming into this round from Gerry Taylor, with David Bearman in third place. 125 Sykes, 113 Taylor, and Bearman on 100 points. So Adam Croft getting a little bit of a move on here after a slightly disappointing start. There is Steve Boyles in black going through. Arjo Ghosh in 44, cracking start from Arjo, and he's got his mirrors full at the moment of Adam Croft. Let's see what Adam can do. Looks like he's teeing him up very, very close indeed. Car's length as we get to look at it side on. Now this is the run down Park straight into Park corner, and he's looking at the outside line. This is brave stuff from Adam Croft, but he can't quite do it, and Arjo Ghosh probably wasn't expecting him to do that. Now around Chris Curve and down into the gooseneck, and then the left-hander at Mansfield is where they would go. 33 is Mike Sellar. Car number 8 Simon Hawksley, ahead of him the class leader Alistair Kirkham. So looks like Mike Sellar not having a particularly happy time of things this meeting with that spin earlier on in race number 1. Look at Adam Croft, he's all over him now. So through Mansfield, the climb up the mountain is about where they're going to go, but we go back to race leader Richard Styrin. Hasn't got things his own way here. Gerry Taylor very close to him. Third and fourth. Third is Richard Sykes, fourth David Bearman, and you've got to say things are a lot closer in this race. Richard Styrin, though, still the class of the field at the moment, leading this one. Gerry and Nick Hull enjoying their battle. Of course, it was Ian Loggie who was in the mix with those guys last time out. And Ian a little bit further up the track as we look at Mike Sellar and 924 leader Alistair Kirkham in car number 7. Alistair, the 39-year-old from Manchester, been in the motor trade since he left full-time studies at university, and runs a Porsche recycling or parts recycling business called Porsche Recycled, which is very good. Ex-sprint racer. As we go back to Gerry Taylor in car number 16, still leading this one. There is Simon Hawksley, who has been a very welcome addition to the 924s. But Adam Croft at the moment can't seem to do anything to deal with Arjo Ghosh in front of him. Arjo Ghosh, the man from Sussex, holding on, racing well. Arjo, his season so far has been a brace of 8th places, 3 10th places and a 9th place. And a bit of a lock-up there from Mike Sellar. Doesn't look happy with the car at the moment. Mike Sellar, you heard the lock-up as we go back and look at Sean Siddle. Now we've got a real scrap on for the lead here. Gerry Taylor has caught Richard Styrin up front and is putting the pressure on. So these two are teammates, the Taylor Foundry Motorsport team. Gerry Taylor, of course, the team principal, you could say, but there'll be no team orders in terms of who's going to win, because both the guys are going for the championship. As Mike Sellar really struggling, and Alistair Kirkham will be finding himself in the unusual position of having to deal with one of the faster Boxsters. Clearly unhappy at the moment, Mike Sellar. Let's hope he can get the car home in one bit. Certainly he's fighting it at the moment, giving it all that he can to get the car around, let alone home. Now what's happening? Richard Styrin looks like he's pulled out a little bit of a gap, getting away just a little bit from Gerry Taylor, and during the race you can see that things may well ebb and flow a little bit as we go back to Arjo Ghosh, still in front of Adam Croft. That's for 5th position. Gerry Taylor still in 2nd place. He'll try and close up again. Richard Styrin still the fastest man on circuit. Look at Adam Croft again, up into Park corner, looks at that outside line, maybe thinking about perhaps grabbing an inside on the exit of the corner. That may be where he's thinking he's going, but the race leaders getting away from Richard Sykes in 3rd place. These two building up some very, very good times. Richard Styrin's best time 1 minute 40.7, Gerry Taylor's best time 1 minute 40.8. Now Richard Sykes 141.351. You heard the explanation from Richard in the interviews as Mike Sellar again locks up. So Mike Sellar really struggling with the 33 car, and that is a problem for one of the 924s. It's Tony McVinsky. Is that an engine about to go pop? Let's hope not. for his sake as we go back to Rick Styrin still leading. Styrin still in front. Arjo Ghosh and Adam Croft still very much enjoying their battle. Mike Sellar again locking up big time there. This is quite frustrating for Alistair Kirkham, because Alistair wants to try and get past in the red Porsche 924, because Simon Hawksley, remember, who got fastest lap in race 1 in the 924s, is right behind, so he might be able to nip past. It's just part and parcel of the way it works out. I'm sure that some of the drivers will perhaps have a comment or two about the fact that the slower Boxsters perhaps getting in the way, but you know, they've paid their money, entitled to their entry, and it's just the way the race pans out. Now we're back with the lead battle. As you can see, it's closed up again. Ebb and flow, very much the way of the race here. Mike Sellar in 33, still hanging on in front of Alistair Kirkham. This is for 11th position. Stephen Potts will be ahead of him. And again, Adam Croft having a go at Arjo Ghosh. Looks to the outside line. Maybe needs to be perhaps teeing up on different parts of the circuit. He won't have seen how Gerry Taylor made both of his passes coming into Park Corner. This is Nick Hull and Guillaume Gruchet. Guillaume at the moment in 8th place. Nick Hull in 9th position. Those two had a splendid weekend's racing between themselves. It's been really entertaining as we go back. Arjo Ghosh, look how close the cars get as they come down into Mansfield. And you can see the gap there. Back to Gruchet. Mike Sellar on the brakes again. Now we've got the top 3 924s all together, but at the moment it's Alistair Kirkham who is leading this one. Kirkham with fastest lap at the moment. That's going to please him in the post-race interviews if he hangs on to it. So Kirkham still trying to deal with Mike Sellar. I'm wondering if Mike Sellar feels a little bit of extra pressure because he's got the 924s behind him. So back we go with Adam Croft still challenging for position. Rebecca Jackson ahead of Linda Warren and Philip Waters at the moment in the standings, so not the best weekend for her as we go back to Mike Sellar, who locks up again. Mike Sellar locks up and he's off, and I tell you what, we're off for a break. Join us after that to see how this race concludes.
Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new Go Racing TV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
Welcome back to Cadwell. Here's a rerun of Mike Sellar going off before we went off for our break. Mike clearly having problems around Cadwell, but rejoining the race, which is the good news. This is the battle for second position in the 924s. Car number 11, Sean Siddle and Simon Hawksley battling it out. Hawksley getting a little bit wild as they come out of barn, but here's Adam Croft looking at the outside line again. Adam Croft challenging for 6th position round the outside of Arjo Ghosh, but Arjo absolutely hanging on to the line. He wants to hang on to position. Here's the challenge for 2nd place. Mark McKenzie round the outside. This is a very brave move as they come up towards Coppice. Is McKenzie going to be able to do it? This is fantastic racing from the 924s, and he's through. What a great manoeuvre. Mark McKenzie up into 2nd position. Racing experience there really showing. Hawksley for sure is going to gain that as he does more and more racing. Look at the battle for the lead. Now race number 1, of course, Richard Styrin got away despite having those problems, and I dare say putting a little bit of oil on circuit at the time as well. And he's through. Oh, look at this. We've got Adam Croft's through and past Arjo Ghosh. So Adam Croft now up into 7th position, 6th position, beg his pardon. So up into 6th place. Arjo Ghosh down. He's finally got his vengeance at the halfway point in the race for that start. And out of barn corner, and it looks like he's going to hang on to it because Arjo is already slipping back. So Arjo a couple of lengths behind, just in about half a lap. Look how much he's lost. So back to the race leaders, Richard Styrin and Gerry Taylor, the teammates, very much hard at it. A real game of cat and mouse. You might not see much overtaking here, but this is all about focus for the race leader and pressure from the man behind to try and keep piling on the pressure to try and get past. Back to Guillaume Gruchet and Nick Hull dicing over 8th place at the moment. Arjo Ghosh in 44. How much time has he lost now? Let's have a quick look down the road. Yeah, he's slipping further back from Adam Croft, who is really coming into the decent part of the race for him. Race leader Richard Styrin about to happen on some back markers. Probably the worst place on the circuit you could do it is Rebecca Jackson in 16th place, who will see the blue flag. She knows what to do, moves out of the way, the race leader's through, doesn't spoil our enjoyment at all. Great racing from Rebecca, who we heard from at the start of the programme. Now, I was talking about championship points earlier on, saying Richard Sykes got 125 coming into the meeting. The way the championship works is that you can drop, or you do drop the worst 3 scores that you have, and that means that you can elect to miss a meeting if you've got business commitments, or the travelling's a little bit much, or you have some ropey races. You drop the worst 3 scores. So we can look at the gross scores, or we can look at the adjusted scores. I think in terms of the overall championship at the end of the show, we're going to show you the adjusted scores, which should work well for Richard Styrin, who continues to lead this one as we look back at Guillaume Gruchet and Nick Hull still at it for 8th position. Nick Hull in 9th place at the moment. See how close they go. It's an absolutely relentless circuit, this one. The drivers will be sweating buckets in there, and I'll be very glad of their post-race refreshments in the bar afterwards, I can tell you. Out of the hairpin, down through Barn, down the straight. You can see how the undulations of this circuit really reward the drivers. It's a very spectacular track. Talk of MSV getting some money to redevelop it. There's Mike Sellar going through. So Mike running well, but I think he's going to find himself lapped by the lead runners. Good to see Mike back on circuit after his excursion earlier on, and fair play to him for keeping it going around this very, very demanding 2.173 mile circuit. But again, a little bit of a lock-up for him. He'll be mindful of leaders coming through. Richard Styrin and Taylor through on the inside. Pretty much the same point where they lapped Rebecca Jackson last time. And this is really Gerry Taylor's moment to try and close in. Lights on from the race leader. Taylor is right on the rear end of the 99 car. Through all bends, down into the hairpin they go. Taylor really putting the pressure on at the moment. Can he force a mistake from the man who took pole position, race 1 win and fastest lap? We're going back to 3rd place, Richard Sykes. Psyche having a much quieter race in this one by the looks of things. Can't see David Bearman immediately behind him, but these two guys well clear. About 13 seconds clear at the moment of the 3rd place car, Richard Sykes. There he is, there's David Bearman flashing through shot. You just saw the blue and yellow car still running in 4th place. Guillaume Gruchet and Nick Hull, this has been relentless as well. So Nick Hull climbing up the hill. Back markers beckon for these 2 runners as well. Still Alistair Kirkham leading the 924s. Cars in both classes for sale at the moment, so if you do fancy coming in, great entry-level sports car racing. You could not do better than joining the LOGSON Group Porsche Championship, run by the British Racing and Sports Car Club. And here comes this superb scrap that we've had between these 2 drivers, not only in race 1 but here in race 2. Guillaume Gruchet and Nick Hull still hard at it, but we go back to the race leaders. Richard Styrin, bit of breathing space at the moment. Let's see if that closes up as they go up the mountain in towards Hall Bends. Styrin still hanging on to it. You see why they call it the mountain. It's uphill, it's twists and turns. Probably the only thing we got equal to it in the UK is maybe the corkscrew at Anglesey. Some people call this track the mini Nürburgring. It's not quite that, but you get the sentiment from it. So through on the inside, Guillaume Gruchet goes through. Car number 42, Linda Warren. Good to see Linda in action. She's running in 17th position. Philip Waters with her as well in the mix. As we go back to Stephen Boyles coming under pressure. So Stephen Boyles, 6 in race number 1, coming under pressure for 5th position from Adam Croft. So Adam Croft has really got to move on in these last laps. He's dealt with Arjo Ghosh and he's now got Steve Boyles in front of him. So we'll see whether Adam Croft, 34 years of age, from Harrogate, as we mentioned in race number 1, has won here in the 924s before. So perhaps there's a little bit of empathy with this circuit. This is the view from Guillaume Gruchet. He's got a problem and Nick Hull goes through. Now to Guillaume Gruchet, has he got a clutch problem or a gear problem, but he's lost the position and Nick Hull goes through into 8th position. All the hard work for Nick Hull has been rewarded, but I'm not sure if it was a mistake from Guillaume Gruchet or a mechanical gremlin. Probably the latter, as Adam Croft goes through into 5th place. Pass for 5th place on the inside. Adam Croft is through, back to the race leaders. Rick Styrin still there. Couple of cars length over Gerry Taylor. Overtaking and plenty there's been here at Cadwell. There's a lot of championships visit this circuit, and you don't get any overtaking, you get processions, but we haven't had that today. It's been superb stuff for the LOGSON Group boys and girls. Through goes Adam Croft, up into 5th place. I think possibly a little bit too far behind David Bearman to do anything about him at this stage. There's Richard Sykes on for another podium. He's going to keep his podium record 100% intact here. That's going to be really good for the 21 car. There'll be 2 third positions from this weekend. There'll be actually his worst scores from the season so far. And boy, I tell you what, that's not bad, is it? So back we go. Now David Bearman's closing up. Look at that. David Bearman in yellow and blue closing up on Richard Sykes. Through all bends, down towards the hairpin. A late surge from David Bearman. Blue flag's being waved again. Gerry Taylor not getting past the back marker too efficiently there. Don't think he'll be overly happy about that at the end of the race. But Richard Styrin gains a little bit of breathing space as we move into the closing stages of this race. Styrin looking to make it 2 out of 2. It was the man behind him, Gerry Taylor, who dominated the proceedings at Alton Park, taking both wins. 3 wins at Snetterton for Richard Sykes, who's running in 3rd position in this one. More back marker traffic beckoning. It's Sean Siddle, the leader of the 2nd place man in the 924s. So will Siddle see them coming? He'll perhaps have a look in his mirrors. This is another opportunity. You see sometimes the back markers fall the way of one driver, and other times it could be there is number 7 Alistair Kirkham, 924 leader, who's pulled clear. Well, it looks like the pass on the back marking car of Sean Siddle. I say back marking car, of course he's running 2nd in the 924s. Looks like he let the leaders pass safely. Alistair Kirkham will no doubt do the same thing, and he's got the room to do that. Look at the gap between Alistair Kirkham, car just going out of shot to your right. He's the lead 924, the second 924 was on the left of shot. So we've got effectively in shot there the 2 lead cars in each of the classes, and with respect to Stephen Boyles, of course, is in the production Boxsters and running on his own this weekend, but the race leaders closing down on Alistair Kirkham, and I think Alistair Kirkham's not going to be lapped in this race as they come down towards the checkered flag, and there it is. It's a double for Richard Styrin. Gerry Taylor takes 2nd position, and Alistair Kirkham's got to do another lap, so he's got to finish, but he's done, let me see, he's done 11 laps, and the cars behind him have been lapped. They'll take the checkered flag and will finish in 2nd position in the race. So it's going to be Sean Siddle 2nd in the 924s. Here's confirmation of the Boxster result. Richard Styrin taking the win. Gerry Taylor in 2nd place. Richard Sykes, 100% podium record, still in 3rd place. David Bearman, what a great weekend for him. 2 great drives into 4th. Then Adam Croft and Stephen Boyles rounding off the top 6 for the Boxsters. The production class, of course, won by default by Stephen Potts. Congratulations to him, and a double congratulation to Alistair Kirkham, win and fastest lap in the 924s. Sean Siddle 2nd, and Simon Hawksley in 3rd place. Let's go down and talk to Richard Styrin and Gerry Taylor.
I just wanted to thank the Taylors Foundry Motorsport team, because you can't do it without a good car, and I had a good car today. And then to finish with a great race with Gerry, very, very fair. He was all over me, but neither of us made any mistakes. I've had a great day, and a big thanks to the team.
Thanks for the thanks. Yeah. It was a great race, far better for me. James Bond here in the first race, spraying oil everywhere. I just couldn't get anywhere near him. This time I could. Richard Sykes got a better start than me again. I've got to practice those, but managed to get past him on Park Straight up behind Richard, put him under as much pressure as I could. He resisted all of it. Just one tiny little mistake I think I can remember during the whole race, but fantastic, an absolute perfect race. I take your hat off to you. That was great.
Here are the adjusted totals. Richard Sykes leads from Rick Styrin by just 4 points. Gerry Taylor a further 2 points behind in 3rd place. David Bearman 4th from Tom Andrew, and Adam Croft in 6th place. Join us for the 4th round of the season for Brands Hatch next time.